What if everything you thought you knew about reality was wrong? Today we're diving into a theory from 2025 that makes one of the boldest claims you can possibly imagine, a complete, unified theory for existence itself. It's called unified ontology, and it might just change how you see, well, pretty much everything.
The theory kicks off with a statement that is just impossible to ignore. Its creator says, quote, "In 2025, I, Hugh Bradford Cornick VI, unified ontology." I mean, that is a massive, almost unbelievable claim. So, let's spend the next few minutes breaking down what could possibly be behind a statement like that.
So what exactly is this unified ontology? Well, it's being pitched as nothing less than a new theory of everything. Its whole goal is to find the, quote, minimum load-bearing structure of reality. And the idea here isn't to make things more complicated, it's actually the opposite, to strip everything down to just 7 essential building blocks. If it's right, it would get rid of concepts like the mind and body being separate, or consciousness just sort of popping up out of brain cells.
The entire massive theory can supposedly be boiled down to this one sentence. Reality equals the act of registering differences inside an infinite source field of awareness. Now, I know that sounds incredibly abstract, almost like a Zen koan, but every single part of that sentence is a key piece of this puzzle. So let's unpack what each of those terms actually means.
All right, so how do you even begin to build a reality with this model? Well, it all starts with one single foundational element. Think of it as the canvas that all of existence gets painted on.
And here it is, the source field of awareness, or SFOA for short. You can think of this as the ultimate fabric of existence. It's not empty space. According to the theory, it's an infinite field that is, by its very nature, full of information and has a fundamental ability to be aware. This is supposedly the one and only stuff that makes up our entire universe.
Okay, so if the SFOA is the canvas, what's the paint? Well, the core of the theory rests on 7 fundamental components it calls the 7 primitives. These are the absolute irreducible building blocks of everything.
Now, before we list all 7 primitives, we really have to understand the fundamental action that makes this whole thing go. It's a really simple but profound chain of events. First, you have the source field, which is just pure potential. Then, a difference appears in that field. And here's the key step: registration, where that difference gets noticed or made real. And that one single event of registration is what the theory calls reality.
So what does information even mean here? We're not talking about computer code or ones and zeros. It's being defined in the most basic way you can imagine. Information is simply a difference. Any distinction, any variation in the source field, think of it like a ripple on a perfectly still pond. That's a unit of information, a little piece of potential existence.
Next up, we have awareness, and it is so important to get this right. This is not consciousness as you and I know it. No thoughts, no feelings, no ego. In this model, awareness is just the universe's most basic fundamental capacity to register those differences. It's not something that thinks, it's something that notices. It's just an inherent property of the source field itself. And this brings us right back to reality itself. So, if information is a difference, and awareness is the capacity to notice it, then reality is simply the event when that registration happens. This is a huge shift in thinking. It means reality isn't a static place you exist in. No, according to this, it's the continuous process of these registrations happening, over and over. Existence is an action, not a location.
Okay, this raises a huge question, right? How do you get from some abstract process to something solid like a rock or the chair you're sitting on? Well, the theory says that matter is a stable attractor registration. Basically, it's a pattern of these registration events that is so stable and self-reinforcing that it holds its shape through time. So an object isn't a static thing, it's a very, very stable process.
And what about our own consciousness, our thoughts and feelings? Well, if matter is a stable pattern of registrations, consciousness is defined as high-sensitivity registrations. It's the exact same fundamental process, just happening at a way more complex and integrated level. So a rock and a human thought aren't made of different stuff. They're just different qualities of the exact same universal action.
And finally, where does time fit into all this? In this model, time isn't a fourth dimension or some cosmic river we're all floating down. It's simply the ordered sequence of registrations. One event of reality happens, then the next one, then the next. And that sequence, that one after another progression of these moments of creation, that's what we experience as the flow of time.
Okay, let's just put that all together on one screen. This gives us a really clean summary of those 7 irreducible primitives. You've got the SFOA as the foundation, you've got information, which are just differences, and awareness, the ability to register them. The very event of that registration is reality. Stable patterns of it become matter, highly sensitive patterns are consciousness, and the sequence of all these events is time. According to the source, that's the whole shebang.
Now I know what you're thinking. A theory this grand, this all-encompassing, requires some pretty extraordinary evidence to back it up. So what data does unified ontology actually put forward to support these massive claims? Let's take a neutral look at what's being presented.
To really get the evidence, it helps to see what this theory is trying to replace, right? Conventional science often relies on dualism, the idea that mind and matter are totally separate things, or on emergence, the idea that complex things just arise out of simple rules. Unified ontology says, nope, both are wrong. It says reality is a monism. It's all made of one thing, awareness, and it's built from one fundamental, irreducible act.
So what are the specific claims? Well, the source material points to 2 big ones. First, a computer simulation it calls born from registration, which apparently was able to match quantum probabilities just by building them up from these simple registration events. And second, it claims to have reproduced quantum entanglement, Einstein's spooky action at a distance, by modeling it as 2 particles sharing a single core act of registration. This all leads to a very specific, and for physicists, a very important number. The entanglement simulations supposedly spit out a value of approximately 2.818. Now, for anyone who knows their quantum physics, you'll recognize this number is a key result from Bell's theorem. It's one of the tests that proves just how bizarre the quantum world really is. Claiming you can get this number from a simple model of registration is a very, very big deal. The theory's main piece of evidence really boils down to this single, powerful claim. Registration alone reproduces QM. The argument is that this one simple mechanism is all you need to generate the famously weird results of quantum mechanics, without needing all the incredibly complex math that usually comes along for the ride.
But the theory's ambitions don't stop with quantum mechanics, not by a long shot. It sets its sights even higher, promising to bring even more pillars of physics into its framework.
So what's next? The theory aims to tackle 2 of the absolute biggest puzzles in all of physics. It proposes that space-time itself can be derived from something called the Fisher metric, which is a way of measuring statistical distance between states of information. And it claims that gravity can be derived from a coherence gradient, which is basically a tendency for these registrations to clump together in the source field. The end goal is to finally unite the world of the very large with the world of the very small. And that brings us to the fundamental question at the heart of this entire explainer, the one posed by the theory itself. Is it really possible? Could everything we see, everything we feel, and everything we think, from the most distant galaxy to the device you're watching this on, to your own thoughts, could it all be nothing more than an act of registration?
That is the foundation, the minimum structure as proposed by its author. Unified Ontology, 2025.